What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mode video. So today we are going to be talking about the AMAX legendary skins. We're going to be comparing two of them this time around. Obviously, the Pharaoh Tusk does exist in this game, but obviously I don't have it right now. And, you know, getting footage for it is kind of complicated because my friend would have to drop the weapon and God forbid I die. Yeah, you guys basically get the point. So I'm basically just doing a review based on what AMAX legendaries I have right now, which is the Red Death and of course the Twisted Visions that just came out this past week. So again, guys, I do apologize for not having the Pharaoh Tusk here today, but hopefully maybe in the future they might have it available in the For You section once more, so I could probably pick it up. But yeah, let's start in chronological order, which is the AMAX Red Death, which came out in Season 5 of Year 2. So it was, I think, like probably one of the first legendaries to be released within that season. And yes, I had my eye on it, but again, I was kind of like reduced. I guess I was reducing the amount of like legendaries I would get in this game during that time. So unfortunately, the Red Death was one of them that I did skip for a bit until it came out in the For You draw. Thankfully, when the For You was still kind of brand new, the Red Death was one of the first legendaries to be presented within that section. So it wasn't really long until I actually got my hands on it, and even then there was like another Redux draw that gave us another chance to get this skin anyways. And honestly, I was kind of envious of everyone that had it, and it was sad that like it was one of those legendaries that I skipped, and it was probably the ones that I regret not getting the most during that time. However, I won't lie to you, like despite the amount of usage that I have towards the AMAX and this legendary skin in general, you could only stay with the skin for such a long time before you get tired of it. So sometimes I would switch to the Dark Matter skin. Sometimes I'll even go for the Torpedo tier 50 skin that was within that season. Fortunately, this time around, I was finally able to get my hands on the Twisted Visions. But in terms of its overall appearance and effects, I mean, this one is kind of substandard for the most part. It's nothing really crazy. Again, I mean, this was at a much earlier time of this game where, legendaries are not as advanced as they are now. So again, you cannot really expect much out of this one legendary. However, it is reactive. So the more you use it, the more kills that you get, the more it's going to light up in flames. Unfortunately, if you do have seasonal camos, a lot of its appearances, or I guess a lot of its lighting and everything, will kind of get reduced unless you use like maybe the regular completionist camos, that being of course Damascus, Diamond, Gold, Platinum, etc. So yeah, that's one issue that I do take with this legendary skin. You're not able to see the full effects if you are using a seasonal camo. However, as for just the general animations, that's something I haven't really touched on a lot, especially when I was making the review on the Red Death. And the animations is actually pretty unique. And like I said, it's not only it's reactive, it also has physical animation. So you guys can see right here that the little, I guess the sides of the weapon, I guess the scales or whatever they're called, do kind of expand. I think they also expand as well when you do reload. But this is something that just kind of like occurs over time. It's something that you just randomly notice if you're not too focused on just the main game. So actually that's something pretty unique that the Twisted Visions doesn't have. And like I said, in terms of animations, there's not a lot. It does make the gun a little bit more flashier if you use like something else, if you just don't use a camo in general. But overall, I mean, it's the animations, I mean, they're all right. I would say maybe it's a little better than Twisted Visions, and that maybe just because it has that physical animation, but I'm not really too sure. I mean, there's also smoke that goes around, and the lighting, like I said, if you do kind of like get the gun all the way up to the maximum like reactive stage. So yeah, you have something there, but again, it's not something that's like absolutely like stunning. The death effect as well is pretty subpar for the most part. It's nothing really that crazy. They just basically melt. It's just kind of like a more of a fire-based type of death effect. It's nothing out of the ordinary. As for sound effects, it does kind of change the original sound a little bit, but not to the point where it's as good as the Twisted Visions. Of course, even when you reload it or even when you shoot, It's all different all over the place, so you guys don't really have to worry if you do buy this in the future. It changes the gun overall, but again, it's not like, you know, the best sound changes ever. So now we move on to the Twisted Visions, which is the other legendary skin that I do have for the AMAX. So this one, of course, since we're kind of more in a modern time for this game, obviously like the appearance and the effects are going to look pretty amazing, and they are far more noticeable than they are with the AMAX. I will say that. Unfortunately, it doesn't really have any physical animations. I mean, really the only one that I could probably think of is just, you know, the capes around the side, but other than that, that's pretty much it. But I think that would still kind of like take the cake there. So one thing I do have to discuss also is is the death effect. So the death effect is pretty unique, something that we really haven't seen that often. I mean, it's like I said earlier in the review video for the Twisted Visions, I did mention that the death effect is very reminiscent to the Grim Reaper that you would see from the Horseman's pick on the Type 25. The only difference is that this time around the Grim Reaper is actually, you know, like purple, and it does have, you know, the slicing effect with the scythe. So it's kind of like the Horseman's pick, but a little bit more upgraded. As for shooting sounds and just, you know, I guess sounds in general, it is far, far more noticeable than it is with the AMAX. If anything, like the AMAX Red Death is probably a lot more, it's just a more modified version of just the base weapon, but this one kind of has its own unique sound effect where it sounds like a completely different type of weapon. But based on how many effects, animations, and different sounds that this thing has, it kind of amazes me that this draw didn't end with 4,700 COD points, you know, as much as a normal reactive skin. And keep in mind, this is not actually a reactive skin. It only reacts when you do get a kill. So now talking about the iron sight, now that's definitely something that this weapon has far better than the than the Red Death. There's no question about it. I think anyone that would bring this topic up would say that it's a unanimous thing. There's no way anyone could disagree with that. It's basically non-negotiable, but yeah, let's actually get to the results already. So the final results are as follows. So the physical design for both of the guns, I would say obviously the Twisted Visions is number one. As for animations, I did make that one kind of subjective. I think that would be more up to the opinion of you guys, because obviously everyone's going to have a different opinion about like the animations. They're both kind of very similar to one another. Of course, you know, it really just depends on what you like specifically. But as for the death effects, first place obviously has to go to the Twisted Visions. Sound effects as well goes to Twisted Visions, as well as the iron sight, which is pretty much non-negotiable at this point. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more Blueprint comparison content. I'll see you guys next time.